We all face a daily dilemma, right? What do I do now? What do I do next? Well, the answer lies in what we want most and what we want now. And that's our topic on this episode of the Educators Among Us podcast.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm so honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. This program is designed for anyone, but especially for those who serve in different levels of education. It doesn't matter whether they're in the classroom or in some support role, whether they coach out on the field or they teach on the stage or in the stadium or they're part of the arts program, after school, before school, volunteer, substitute teachers, others. Man, we're just so thankful for you and the difference that you make. Being an educator, it's a hard calling. I mean, this involves working with people. And people can sometimes be a challenge, and we have to deal with different parts of life and different stages of growth and help people navigate conflict and be able to find still a joy in the work. And that's hopefully what you're able to get from our conversations here on the Educators Among Us podcast is a little bit of joy in all the tyranny of the urgent. And that's something that we're looking at today it's the educator's dilemma. Right? What to do now? There's always those challenges of we've got this plethora of opportunities of which to make a difference, but with no shortage of people and problems and projects all battling for our attention, choices have to be made. And those choices impact our own well-being, along with the people with whom we work and the people that we serve. These decisions matter, and that's our topic for today, is exploring some of those key questions. Abraham Lincoln once said, "Discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most." Right? It's that conflict of what do we want most versus the pressures and the temptations that would want us to focus on what we want now. Some would refer to that as delayed gratification, right? And that's a hard one because we kind of want it. We want to have it. We want all the things that are available and those things that make us feel good or whatever. We want it now, but there's an advantage to those who are able to put off those other benefits. They're able to develop new habits. They're able to make different decisions. And that's hard. We're well into March, right? Which means that one group of people, they're finally back to normal, right? Because there's a difference. Those who are devoted about working out at the gym now have relief from those pesky resolutionaries, I once heard them called. Those people who they resolved for the start of the calendar year back for New Year's, right? They said, "I'm going to work out. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym every day," and they signed up and they showed up for a little while. Right. And then delayed gratification became harder. That do I get up? Do I go? I've got things to do. I've got people to see. I've got places to go. Right. And so they're no longer showing up because why? Because they don't feel like it. Right. And those emotions could be deceptive. And that's another thing that I really admire about Tammy, my wife, because she sticks with it even when it hurts. And I've watched her. One of her commitments for the last several months has been, to get in stronger physical shape and to do the necessary work. And, I want that too, but she's been able to stick with it. And that's something it's hard, right? The trainer pushes beyond mental limits and there's so many reasons. The reasons abound to just not go. But she goes anyway, right? Rather than getting trapped in self-negotiation, she prioritizes what she wants most. And that has made a big difference because I watch and she comes back and usually her energy level is better and she just is more focused, and because that exercise makes a difference. Some are willing to do that and some aren't. William Shakespeare said, "We know what we are, but we know not what we may be." Right? And that's what happens to those that are able to stay focused. They make the hard decisions in those moments. And that's an interesting thing that we've learned in working with school leaders all around the world in our executive coaching with education leaders. Too little time and too much to do. Those two things, too little time and too much to do, are consistently identified as the most significant inhibitors to greater productivity. We just get overwhelmed. There's so many things, but we know, of course, that success favors those they're clear about what they want, and not just what they want most. Right? They're clear about that, and then they're able to choose high-value tasks that continue to contribute to those priorities while avoiding what's not. In other words, none of us manage time in reality, right? Time is what it is. There is no sort of controlling time, but we have choices, right? And it's in those choices, in those moments, those special moments, right? That's where those who are most successful, they know how to make the right choices. Daily discipline is elusive, but greater progress and joy in the work and in life are the incentive, right? That's the motivation. That's what causes us to pause in those moments when we're getting up in the first thing in the morning, when we're coming to work, and when we're showing up, and do we have a plan? Have we established a preparation, right? Those are the things that either produce great outcomes, the outcomes that we most want, or they don't, right? Accept the challenges so that you can feel the exhilaration of victory, says George Patton, right? Accept the challenges. And this is a big challenge. How do we spend our time? How do we prioritize what's in the moment? There's no shortage of opportunities. There's no shortage of distractions. There's no shortage of conflict in this work, especially for educators. The choices matter. You see, present predicaments are predictable products of prior preferences at pivotal points. Did you get that? Present predicaments are predictable products of prior preferences at pivotal points. In other words, we have certain moments that are the game changers. There's certain moments in which we have a chance to make those decisions. And we learn something new about ourselves with each decision at that fork in the road, at that moment where do we or don't we? Do we feel like it? Or we're going to go with our emotions? Or we're going to remember what we most want? Or are we going to give in? Or we're going to kind of be dominated by all this pressure, all these thoughts, all these tasks that some matter, some don't. And we just kind of take the first thing. We take the thing that seems like it would be the easiest, right? But do we or don't we, right? Will emotions take control, or will they talk us out of our optimal choice, right? Will those things kind of say, nah, it can wait, right? Will we compromise on our expressed goals because we simply don't feel like it? It's easy to get overwhelmed by that tyranny, by those urgent things that just keep coming, and give in to those shifty feelings. But that exhilaration of victory to become and do more, it's worth the effort. It's worth the focus. It's worth the time to be prepared, right? So, my encouragement to you this week, choose the path of delayed gratification, my friend, in order to victoriously celebrate what you want most, right? That's the joy of the work. That's the joy of focus and avoiding distractions. And it's a powerful element as we have a chance again to work with so many different school leaders. The difference, the educators that make the greatest difference are the ones who they understand the necessity of being prepared, of having a plan for the day, understanding that, listen, stuff happens, school happens, right? And there's things that we have to adapt to. But still, we find a way to focus on the most important things. Find a way to remember there's things that we want most. And we're willing to make the sacrifices, we're willing to delay in order to develop the habits, because excellence happens through habits. And that's why we continue to emphasize, as a part of the conversation here on the Educators Among Us podcast, is those little things, those little habits that make such a difference. They not only make an impact in our work, but they bring greater joy as we deal with all the sometimes the challenges and the opportunities that come with the work of being an educator. We thank you again for your commitment to that work and being willing to show up, to make a difference in people's lives and to adapt. I mean, we've entered a phase of life now, especially in schools, when, boy, change is coming fast. And we're seeing schools begin to really start a process of reinvention, because there's so many elements of education that are changing from the board all the way through how we lead schools and the curricular strategies and technologies and the economic models of schools, and just so many aspects are changing, and we have to adapt. We're smart, we're learners, and so we figure out ways to solve the problems, and especially by staying focused on what we want most. So a coaching question for you to consider at the end of each day: did I do my best to choose victory today? Did I do my best to choose victory today? Hey, love him and lead him, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.